What's going on, guys? It's Groove, back again with another video from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Now in this video we're going to be going over book 3 of his, but before we do that, if this is your first video, I figured I'd just go over a little bit of backstory about Marcus Aurelius. Now, Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 AD, so that's less than 2,000 years ago. And a lot of people, when you think about history, you think about Marcus Aurelius, you think about Plato, Socrates, all of these great Stoic philosophers, and you lump them all in the same bag. Well, he actually was born and grew up hundreds of years after all of those people had, come before him, which is kind of crazy to think about. Him in Rome, you all kind of just want to put it together, but it's kind of the same as if somebody was to say, oh, you grew up right next to George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. And it's like, wait a minute, those guys, those was hundreds of years ago. We have no idea what they grew up like or how they were like. He ruled for the later half of his life, and under his rule, he actually co-ruled with another man. And during this time, Rome was thriving, and that's because it was ruled under this Stoic philosophy of this mindset that he had. As he was, starting to get into his older age, he started to just write down his notes, just getting his thoughts off. And this is where these books came into play. Now, he never actually wrote these books in order for people to read them. And they're really not even in any structure to them at all. They're just random passages of him just getting his thoughts off, just thinking about random things. And here we are today, thousands of years later, still reading them, still understanding them. And a lot of the messages that he's talking about still apply today. Even though you may think like thousands of years ago, what would that have to do with today? All the same things, like humans have not changed over thousands of years. The only thing that's changed is technology, but we still behave the same, we still act the same, we're still all in our emotions. And so there's a lot of lessons you can learn from these great people that can help you in your everyday life, even today. Now, again, there really is no structure to these books per se. They're just in different passages. So some of them I'm just going to read out because they're going to be self-explanatory, but then some of them I kind of want to dig deeper into them and give my own explanation on them. So that's what we're going to do. We must take into our reckoning that not only is our life expended day by day, but there's no guarantee that our mind will still retain the power to comprehend and be rational about different decisions in life if dementia sets in. So we must have a sense of urgency in life, not only because death is close, but because our ability to comprehend the world around us may fade before we do. And when I read that passage, I was kind of thinking about, what's his name? Bruce Willis. He now has dementia, or maybe even a certain old presidential candidate who's no longer around anymore. It's like dementia is so crazy and it can mess you up really bad. And so he's saying that, again, you must have a sense of urgency in life because, again, your mind can leave you before your body does. And with that, a little nugget, you may want to look into the benefits of extra virgin olive oil and what cooking your food in it and putting that on your food can do for you to mitigate dementia. The processes of nature have a certain charm to them, and we should stop and pay attention to them. Take, for example, the baking of bread and how the loaf splits, or how a fig bursts as it comes into full maturity. When I read that passage, again, it really made me think like how most people don't pay attention to the small things, or even nature as a whole. Like, when's the last time you just stopped and just paid attention to a hawk as it's circling in the sky, or, ants going up and down your driveway or in the grass? Like, so many people today are just running around doing their meaningless tasks, not really paying attention, and there's a certain beauty in nature that you should kind of stop and appreciate. Any man with feelings and deep insight into the workings of the whole will have an appreciation for every aspect of life. Now, if you've never read this book, he really believes in the whole and the universe as a whole and nature. And he believes that everything in this world has its purpose and nothing goes against nature. Because he has this mindset, he, again, has this appreciation for every aspect of life, the good and the bad. You can't appreciate the happiness without going through the struggle. And he really believes in this. And again, this is why I believe he wrote this passage. Again, when you understand the whole, when you understand the universe and nature, you'll have appreciation for all of life. Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thought about others if it is not in the aspects of any good. And always train your mind to only think about the questions that you have the immediate answers to. Now, that last part is huge. Like, again, train your mind to be in thought about only the questions that you have the immediate answers to. And when I thought about that, it came to mind, I remember somebody at my job, they got in trouble on a Friday, and the boss was like, oh, we're going to handle this on Monday. And so the person was texting me all weekend, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen. You know, like, how bad is this going to be? And all weekend, you've just ruined your weekend in thought about something you know nothing about, you know? So, and again, that's 48 hours of your life just got wasted thinking about something that you're not in control of. And again, it goes back to what he said. You need to train your mind. This isn't easy. This isn't, something that's going to come quickly. You have to train your mind to, again, not worry about the things that are not in your control. And so if you can do this, you'll have a smoother ride through life. If you can just, again, live in the moment with the bad things. If something is coming on Monday morning, and if you can just train your mind, because I guarantee you, your boss or whoever you're thinking about or whoever you're worrying about, they're not thinking about you. They're not worrying. They're living their life. They're hanging out with their family. And now you're just wasting your life in thought about things that you don't necessarily know the answers to right away. So again, train your mind not to do that. Do not hold the opinions of all, but only those who live in agreement with nature. Do not dress up your thoughts, and do not be one who meddles with gossip. Keep a cheerful demeanor and retain your independence from outside help. Your duty is to stand up straight, not to be held up straight. And that passage really spoke to me, because there's a lot of people today that are like, you need to help me. You need to give me. You owe me. And again, 2,000 years ago, he's telling people that, again, in order to remain independent, that should be your duty, is you should hold yourself straight. You should want to help yourself out and not lean too much on other people to help you out. All too often we see that today. Everybody's complaining, the government needs to help me, these people need to help me, give me stuff. And he's like, no, you don't need to do that. You shouldn't do that. You should hold yourself up. If you discover something in human life better than justice, truth, self-control, and courage, then turn to it with all your heart. But if you don't, make no room in your heart for anything else. Do not praise power, wealth, or the enjoyment of pleasure, for all these things may suit you for a little while, but over time they will carry and take you away. Now, when I read that, he was a very powerful guy. He had wealth, and he really didn't care about it too much. But again, with the whole too much of a good thing or too much of each of those can carry you away, it kind of made me think about, even the current diddler situation, if we want to talk about that. There's nothing wrong with getting power, getting money, or pleasure. But we see all too often, when you have too much of these things, they can carry you away. And now we can all see what's going on outside with his situation and others alike. Just too much of this, every time. Again, and he's talking about this 2,000 years ago. And here we are in today's age, in 2024, and the same things are applying. Too much power, too much wealth, too much pleasure always carries you away down these dark paths that you can't come back from. Set yourself to your current task down the path of good reason, with full determination, vigor, and goodwill. If you admit to no distractions, but to keep your own divinity pure and standing strong, and making sure that every action you take is in accordance with nature and in truthful in everything you say and do, then you will live a good life. And nobody can stop you from that. No more wandering. Rescue yourself if you have any care for yourself, for the opportunity is almost gone. Now, again, this was the last passage in there, and he always goes back to life is short, life is short. So many people right now are just wasting their life, wasting their time, doing nothing. And then before you know, it's just going to be over. So again, you need to rescue yourself and go seize the opportunity of life, because it's out there waiting for you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this book. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.